Interest rates going up faster than Yellowstone's floodwaters.
Schizophrenics who think their coffee pot is watching them may be right.
Juneteenth now comes with extra whitening power.
All this and more this week on WBS News for the week of Juneteenth 2022. Good evening and welcome to WBS News America. I'm Nora Pickwick.
And I'm Zach Butters.
For our first story, we go live to the Capitol with Jared Fenderhamp. Hello, Jared.
Hello, Nora. Jared Fenderhamp reporting from the Capitol. This week, Congress held the first day of hearings of the January 6th committee delving into the supposed plan by Donald Trump to overthrow the election, hang Mike Pence, and make America great again. Every major network except Fox broadcasted the initial hearing.
And how was that received?
Well, more than 20 million people tuned in June 9th to watch the hearing, which was broadcast live. Of course, after Committee Chairman Benny Thompson opened the hearing by telling his live story, that number quickly dropped to 134. Reports indicated many of those still tuned in were probably asleep. This most likely came as a big disappointment to the committee, who hired a former television producer who used to work at Disney.
So the Congress hired a Disney producer to put the show together?
They did indeed, which may be the reason the hearings were as tedious as the Small World song on an endless loop.
What's next for the committee, Jared?
Well, a third hearing, scheduled for last Thursday, was postponed to give the video staff more time to prepare for video exhibits for the hearing. After all, they only had 17 months to prepare. It seemed like the video work for these hearings is taking about the same amount of post-production time as the last season of Game of Thrones.
I'm not sure if it's fair to compare the hearing to an entertainment event.
You know nothing, Nora Pickwick. Which is probably still more than the committee found out so far. To date, we've learned that Ivanka didn't believe there was fraud, Rudy Giuliani got drunk, and Benny Thompson's hometown has a population of 521? Who cares? We also learned the former president's close advisors abandoned him when they learned their positions would be eliminated by the incoming administration.
So what's next for the committee?
Next week, video is coming. Back to you, Nora and Zach.
Thank you, Jared. Last week, the country continued to hold more elections. On Tuesday, Texas held a special election to replace Democratic Congressman Philemon Vea. Vea resigned in March to return to his job as a lobbyist, where the pay was better and it was far easier to launder money. It was widely speculated that Democratic frontrunner Dan Sanchez would secure the seat in the historically Democratic district. However, to the surprise of most people, it was Mayra Flores, a Latina Republican, who came out on top. Flores was able to secure 52% of the votes, staving off the need for a runoff election, but not enough to stave off Sanchez's sore loser blame speeches. Sanchez blamed his defeat on the lack of Democratic support, principally rooted in the fact that he was not gay, transgender, black, a woman, or a person who had threatened to kill a Supreme Court justice, which seems to be a litmus for most Democratic voters today. The win by Flores could signal the rise of a Republican majority in the House, or simply that Joe Biden hasn't figured out what government giveaway to bribe Texas voters with yet.
In South Carolina, Representative Tom Rice lost his bid for re-election Tuesday. Rice was one of the 10 House Republicans who voted in favor of impeaching Donald Trump in the wake of the January 6th attacks on the U.S. Capitol. Rice lost the GOP nomination to State Representative Russell Fry in a campaign seemingly dominated by the shadow of Trump, who held a March 12th rally for Fry in Florence, South Carolina. Fries are better than Rice, the former president said at the rally. It is unknown if he was trying to make a joke or if he was just confused and hungry.
In Nevada, Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo won the Republican gubernatorial primary Tuesday, defeating a very crowded field of candidates. He defeated 14 other Republican candidates, including a senator, a boxer, a mayor, a retiree, a realtor and rancher, 2 doctors, several unemployed people, and Mr. Las Vegas, Eddie Hamilton. Lombardo believes shootings can be controlled by arming teachers, installing metal detectors, and limiting the entryway to schools. He also wants to ban on CIA gun running inside casino hotels. Right now, those places are as vulnerable as single-deck blackjack.
In the Maine primary election, Soros-backed candidate for district attorney Jacqueline Sartoris won the Democratic nod. If elected, like other Democratic district attorneys around the country, she promises to release felons without bail, legalize shoplifting, and exonerate any gay black male actor who wants to pretend he was beat up by Trump supporters.
Senator John Hoeven easily won the Republican nomination in the North Dakota primary against Riley Kuntz, whose chances were severely hindered by people mispronouncing his name. Hovind is set to face Democrat Katrina Christensen, a political newcomer and University of Jamestown engineering professor who has as much chance of winning in this oil-rich red state as a drilling rig on federal land.
Yellowstone National Park remains closed after record-breaking floods hit Monday. Heavy rainfall and melting snowpack contributed to intense mudslides, rapidly overflowing rivers, and the best time to stage a Noah's Ark reenactment. Damage from the storm and mudslide extended to some 50 miles outside of the park, hitting the town of Gardner, where multiple roads were broken up and washed away. The storm also turned a very nice and expensive-looking house into a $2 million flotation device in a matter of minutes. Not to worry, the house did wash up downstream, where a RE/MAX agent immediately put it on the market. WBS News attempted to get a high-profile representative in forest conservation to speak on this matter, but Smokey the Bear was unavailable for comment. The park rangers suggest it could possibly take years to repair all the damage caused by the flood, kindly asking anyone to donate what they can to speed up the process. We would like to also ask for any donations for our pursuit of speaking with Smokey the Bear. He is surprisingly expensive.
The recent string of high-profile shootings in the U.S. is prompting House Democrats to draft a measure designed to severely restrict access to the AR-15-style weapons. Representative Don Bayer of Virginia wants to impose a 1,000% excise tax on semi-automatic rifles. This is gaining widespread support amongst the Democratic caucus, as taxes and gun control are two of their favorite things. Upon having the words 1,000% tax, every Democrat in the chamber was suddenly packing a semi of their own. Nonetheless, it is likely that the bill will fail, as Democrats in the Senate seem unable to persuade the Republican counterparts that taking on credit card debt is a deterrent to mass shooting, particularly when Joe Biden will most likely forgive the debt as soon as he needs more votes. However, a different gun control bill is currently being debated in the Senate. A bipartisan group of senators on Sunday unveiled the framework of an agreement for a state of moderate gun control measures that could become the first significant piece of gun legislation passed by Congress in decades. If passed, the proposal would expand the scope of background checks for gun buyers of under 21, improve enforcement of gun trafficking laws, and close the boyfriend loophole, which got Senator Lindsey Graham real worked up until someone explained to him they weren't talking about that loophole.
And speaking of shootings, John Hinkley Jr., the man who shot and nearly killed President Ronald Reagan in 1981, was unconditionally released from court-ordered psychiatric supervision on June 15th. For more on this story, we go to Tommy Bufaki in the field. Tommy?
Thank you, Bobby. Hinkley was released after federal prosecutors, mental health professionals, and Hinkley's own legal team told the judge they have no concerns about his mental state. In fact, the reformed would-be assassin has since taken up a career in music.
We all are striving to be free. We're in harmony. This is the majesty of love. When every couple settles down, goodness will be found. This is the majesty of love.
Hinkley, now 67, shot at Reagan as the president was exiting the Washington Hotel on March 30th, 1981, puncturing a lung and causing severe internal bleeding. Oh my God. 3 others were also wounded. Hinkley was found not guilty by reason of insanity and to be very, very cuckoo. He remained hospitalized in 2000 until 2006. He was then allowed to live with his mother in 2016, but that was later ruled as unusual punishment, as no man at that age wants to still live with their mommy.
Tommy, where are you now?
Outside Jodie Foster's house, Nora.
No. Well, while I see the connection to the story being covered, I must ask why you're there.
Well, if you were John Hinkley's, where would you head first after being released?
I certainly hope not there.
Well, after seeing his turn from a deranged stalker to a reformed musician, maybe this time Jodie Foster is impressed enough by him to finally give him their first date.
Doubtful. You know Jodie Foster is gay, right?
Well, you know, whether she is gay or sad or morose or happy or whatever you want to call it, the Jodie Foster is an American. And she can be whatever the hell she wants to be in America. Gay or depressed, whatever she wants.
Well, thank you, Tommy. When we return, monkeys, aliens, and a band from Japan. These stories and more when we return.